Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. It's about 2.5 hours into the governorship election in Osun State. The Independent National Electoral Commission has issued about 1.5 million permanent voters' cards to prospective voters. How has the process been so far, and will this be an improvement to the widely reported low turnout of voters in most of the recent elections? Well, we'll find answers to these questions as we progress. Voting commenced at 8:30 in most of the polling units that we have been monitoring. I remember that accreditation and voting take place simultaneously as provided for in the Electoral Act. We have our team of reporters, as always, out there across the various local government areas in the state. But before we bring them in to bring us up to speed with the process so far, let's listen to some of the reactions from the state that our correspondents have been gathering.
You can say INEC is improving in terms of the logistics, getting prepared, and getting voters informed as regards the processes. Because when you get there, you were addressed, you were informed about the voting processes, and also regarding voters accreditation. I can say INEC has really improved.
Yes, as regards the guidelines for the voting, it's going to be the first time, and I think it's commendable this time around. Of course, we hope that as it goes, it ends fine.
What we have noticed is what we have prepared. We told Nigerians that and people in Osun State that we are going to start to move to the polling units. A good time to start by 8:30, and in all these 3 local governments, we moved before 8 o'clock, and we started accreditation at 8:30 in all the polling units in the 3 local governments. Everything is going on smoothly. The people are orderly, our machines are working, and there is a fairly very good turnout of votes.
Thank you. Thank God, the process so far so good. At least in these 2 polling units, the AUD and the Methodist is quite peaceful, very orderly. INEC officials are conducting it, and the process is very peaceful, and they are making progress. I'm a bit concerned. This is almost 10 o'clock. I asked them how many people have voted in this AUD. They say about 37, and I know we have over 500 voters. So I hope they will step it up so that they won't say when it's 3 o'clock they can't capture everybody.
Okay, now let's tell you some things that we know about this election already. Out of the almost 2 million in 1.9, that is 1,955,657 names on the voter register, ballots cast in this election cannot exceed 1,479,595. So, of the 1.9 million, the voters collected can't be more than 1.47 million. And that's because that is the number of permanent voter cards collected. There are 3,763 polling units grouped into 332 registration areas across the 30 local government areas of the state. Now, at the end of the exercise, a winner, of course, will emerge from among the 15 candidates contesting the election. The question that will be answered at the end of the day is, who does the cap fit to become the next governor of Osun State? A state that has had 5 governors so far from 3 political parties. Will the incumbent, who is seeking re-election, keep his seat, or can any of the other 14 candidates out there turn up victorious? Okay, so now while we wait to connect you with our team in Osun State, Let me just quickly tell you about the guests in studio with me. This Osun decides our studio. They are here to help us break down the issues. A former member of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Olusegun Olulade, also known, a.k.a. that is, Elenio. A fine morning to you, Honorable Olulade. Thank you very much for coming on.
Good morning, Okuyori.
My pleasure, sir.
Good morning, viewers.
Indeed. And we also have a politician, legal practitioner, political analyst, Mr. Femi Aina. He's also with us. Mr. Aina, I've always been wanting to know, but now it's out there. Mr. Femi Aina is the senatorial candidate of the NMPP. Congratulations on getting the ticket of the party.
Oh, yes,
Let's leave it there.
In Ogun State.
In Ogun State.
Yes,
In Ogun State.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, it's very important.
Ogun West. Thank you so much.
So, indeed, thank you very much for coming on the program. And also, we will bring in our senior political correspondent, Ayodele Ozubaku, and his team from Osogbo. Right now, we've got Ayo with us there. Ayo, we're waiting on you. He's still checking out so as to be able to give us a complete report. Good morning to you, Ayo.
Good morning, Yori.
Yeah.
It's a little bit rowdy here at Iragbiji.
Well,
Iragbiji is the hometown of Governor Oyetola, and he's just exercised his franchise like 10 minutes ago. And this is his polling units. And the situation is almost chaotic and rowdy in this polling units. The governor actually made that observation that, look, the number of people in this polling units, the number of people INEC would have, this should be more than a polling unit, considering the number of people that are registered voters here. You have over 2,300 people that are registered voters here, and that is not normal. The governor had to wait for like 20, 30 minutes before he could exercise his franchise, and he complained about the pace of things at this particular polling unit. He expressed satisfaction and optimism that he gave a kind of pass mark to the Independent National Electoral Commission that these people, they came here on time. As a matter of fact, we got here around 7:30 and we met them on ground. The electoral officials, they've already deployed the sensitive and non-sensitive materials, and they were waiting for the dot of that 8:30 to commence the exercise. So the exercise is commenced, but it is not too orderly in this polling unit. You can see people jostling, and the queue is not clear-cut. It's not even, you can't even say that this is one queue here. You just have one queue for men, one other queue for the female folks. So the electoral officers, they are trying just to make sure they coordinate the people. But the number of people here, as the governor actually observed, is way difficult to handle for the electoral officers here. So he said they would have deployed more polling units here, more polling units would have been here, or more BVAS machine would have been deployed here to ease off the situation. As you can see, you even have elderly people. They are waiting to go, to exercise their franchise. This man got here now. They had to get a seat for him because apparently, normally, it would have been given, a priority position so that he can exercise his franchise. But he's just seated, making sure that he waits for the long line to thin out before exercising his franchise. And you can see a lot of people shouting, and it lacks coordination for this polling unit. And the governor expressed his dissatisfaction about that he's not too happy the way things are going on in his own polling unit. But before we got to this polling unit, we've gotten to other polling units, and we discovered that, look, they are more organized and they were able to get to their polling units at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I will have to give like a pass mark. But before giving any pass mark to the Independent National Electoral Commission, we have to aggregate it across the over 3,223 wards across Osun State and across the 30 local governments of Osun State. Yori, to remind you, over 1.9 million people actually registered voters, and a little bit above 1.4 million people actually collected their PVC to participate in this exercise to choose the next governor of Osun State. But I can tell you at Iragbuji here, this old Litolo building is actually a little bit rowdy, Yori.
One is a bit surprised to hear that, Ayo, because you remember when we were in the Ekiti election, there was a polling unit that experienced something similar. INEC solved that situation then by bringing in, I think, 1 or 2 more BVAS machines, and then the queue got moving. So one thought that they would have learned from that election, and, you know, this wouldn't happen at this election.
Okay, I think it will be too early to actually, and this polling unit will not be used as a kind of yardstick to judge the entire exercise across the states. We're still going to visit more polling units. We're still going to visit more towns and, you know, more local governments to ascertain maybe this is what obtains. But in Ekiti, it was different. It was a different ball game, but it's too early to actually juxtapose Ekiti election, the conduct of INEC, and this particular, the conduct at this might just be a one-off thing, but I can see the electoral officers, they are overwhelmed. It's difficult for them to actually coordinate these people. When you look at them from the way it is here, you will see that they have how many lines here? And those lines they have here, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 line here, having 3 lines here, and it will not culminate to that place for people to get into that place. And you can see the 3 lines, it's a struggle to actually to get to know where exactly you are registering. So this is to give you a kind of insight to what is happening here, where we have 3 lines and it's looking a little bit uncoordinated for them to go one by one. If there had to be 3 BVAS here and 3 registration points here, it would have been easier. But with this system, it's a little bit cumbersome. It's very, very difficult to actually get one person to register. So it might take a little bit, this process might be slower and it might take a longer time to actually vote. So you can observe yourself, you can see yourself from the way we're looking at it. This is an elderly woman here. She's going through the process of BVAS, and they're authenticating her identity with the BVAS machine. So I think that has been done now, and she's going to check the register, and immediately after checking the register, I think she'll be given the ballot paper and the rest is to vote. But by and large, when you look at this one by one, this polling unit, it's a little bit, the officers, they look a little bit overwhelmed and they're trying to coordinate the line.
In fact, the pictures just answered a question I was going to ask. So well, thank you for the work you're doing out there with the team. We'll be coming back to you, from time to time. Okay, Ayo, keep up the good work. Thanks a lot. All right, then. Gentlemen, here we have it. Actually, maybe I didn't make myself very clear to Ayo Dele. Yes, I understand that we can't use that to, evaluate the entire election. But there was a particular unit where the solution was simply bringing in a couple more BVAS machines, and the crowds disappeared. But the point he makes is still excellent, that we can't use that to judge because you might go to another station, another situation there. Please.
But for me, I think INEC should have learned something from what happened in Ekiti and improve upon that. With this, I think what they could have provided for is a satellite polling unit within that polling center that will have more BVAS that people can easily use. And I mean, voting shouldn't take us
at all
donkey years before you get to vote.
Well,
You will see the determination of the people of Firiagbiji trying to ensure that they vote. They are there. Look at that old man. So it shows you that Nigerians are waking up to their civic responsibility.
Indeed.
But we must not now give them any room to start complaining about going there to sit forever and ever before getting to vote.
Well, ideally, the time now is after 10. It's a bit too early to judge. But having said that, one must commend the electorate. At least they've tried to come out. And what normally happens in this sort of situation is that some of these problems are quite inevitable. But as time goes by, how do you provide solution to it? And you rightly mentioned that that incident happened somewhere, beefer machine, and the crowd suddenly disappear. I think I assume and I presume that INEC has a situation room where there's an incident, you can easily call them and then they can provide solution. And also, it is also possible that early in the morning, people would like to come and let me quickly do it and get on with other things. By the time they get there, they realize there's a crowd, they will go back home. Then by 2 o'clock, they will come back again because voting will not end until about 3:30, if I'm right. Yeah. So when you take all these things around, I don't think we should be too disturbed about what is going on. But having said that, I know, that's one polling unit where we are having this complaint. The former governor, he has been able to exercise his franchise after waiting for 20 minutes.
Yes.
At least the good thing about it is
not the former, it's the current governor.
Oh, it's the current governor. Yeah. Sorry, my apologies. Governor. Oh, it's the sitting governor. Okay. So my apologies. So if you look at everything in the round, that is a testimony that people are willing to come out, people are willing to exercise their civic responsibility. And that is something we should try as much as possible to build on. And also another point which I want you to take into account, this is the last off-cycle election before the general election, which is coming. So the keen interest is there to assess INEC performance, to explain, issues about voter apathy, which we've had in the past, that is gradually disappearing now. People are coming out.
Indeed.
So definitely they realize why it is important for them to exercise their franchise, because that determines the future.
Elena, this point that he's just sort of landed on is what I was going to bring up, that at least we're getting something of an answer to the question of voters' apathy. I don't think that there's very much. If even the seniors are coming out, the seniors are coming out, men and women. Some even have to be, extended some courtesy about, a seat and that kind of a thing. But he was there. She was there. They got up early. Now, as far as the seniors are concerned, cool. That's good. That's excellent. But how about the youth? Because that's where the majority of the votes are. Give me your thoughts on that, because we'll find out from our people as we go along, our people on the field.
Well, for me, I'm not too convinced that we are going to see the level of youth participation that we expected. We might be looking at maybe 40% of the youth coming out to say they want to vote. Because what we have seen...
You're guessing this, of course.
I'm guessing.
Yes. Now, because when you look at the rallies, unless one can't really use that, when you look at the rallies and you see the people, and most of the people at the rallies were youth.
But in some rallies, they were there to just watch the musician, while some are meant to really see what this fellow has to offer.
To say.
So there are different kinds of rallies. So we can't use rallies to judge on election day. There are some of these youth that you are seeing today will be playing football today. So, but
going by what has happened in the past.
What has happened in the past. You see the elderly ones coming out. You see the women coming out because they know what is in it. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. But what we're going to see moving forward is in 2023, we're going to see more youths getting more involved. Anything after this particular election, I pray that INEC has improved. The Electoral Act has done so well for us in Nigeria. We're still looking at some other areas that can also be improved upon. I believe that by the grace of God, after 2023 election, you will see more participation of the youth than ever. But this particular election, yes, it has shifted from where we used to know, when you don't really care about it. They are coming up. There's a lot of awareness from the youth wing now, more than ever.